Welcome back to Applied Wisdom, Literature for Living Better.
Great to be here.
Today we're jumping straight into Ray Dalio's principles, Life and Work. A lot of you have probably heard of it, maybe even read parts.
Right, and it's a dense book, lots in there.
Exactly. So we're not doing a full summary. Think of this more like we're extracting the core tool, the actionable bits from Dalio's experience.
Yeah, the things you can actually start using in your own life, like right away. It's all about helping you move forward with a bit more clarity.
And Dalio's own story is key here. He wasn't some kind of, investing prodigy from day one.
Not at all. He's very open about that. Grew up an ordinary kid on Long Island, got interested in markets, sure, but his real success, he says, came from learning how to deal with his mistakes.
Which brings us to that core formula he talks about constantly.
Pain plus reflection. Progress. It really is central to everything. That idea that messing up, feeling that pain, it's actually a signal.
A signal to stop and think?
Exactly. Stop, reflect, figure out why it happened, and then learn from it. If you just feel the pain and move on, well, you haven't really progressed, have you?
You're just setting yourself up to repeat it, maybe.
Precisely. Failure isn't the problem. Failing to learn from failure.
And he had a massive teacher in that regard back in 1982, right?
Yeah.
The debt crisis bet.
Oh, yeah. A huge, public, and very wrong bet. He thought a depression was coming, went all in, and the market roared the other way.
Nearly bankrupted Bridgewater.
I almost wiped them out. He had to let almost everyone go. He calls it a crucible experience. And it wasn't just humbling, it fundamentally changed how he operated.
That's when the principles really started taking shape.
That seems to be the catalyst, realizing that relying purely on gut instinct, even a smart gut instinct, wasn't enough. He needed a more systematic, principled way to make decisions, especially high-stakes ones.
Which leads perfectly into the first major life principle he lays out. Embrace reality and deal with it. Hyperrealism, he calls it sometimes.
Yeah, and it sounds so straightforward, doesn't it? Just, accept reality.
But it's harder than it sounds.
Much harder. Because we all have wishes, desires, fears, things that color how we see the world. This principle is about cutting through that. Seeing things as they are objectively, not as you wish they were.
And for personal growth, that means what? Brutal self-honesty.
It definitely starts there. Honestly, assessing your strengths, but maybe more importantly, your weaknesses. Where are you actually falling short? What uncomfortable truths about your situation or yourself are you maybe avoiding?
Because you can't fix a problem you refuse to see clearly.
Exactly. You can't navigate terrain effectively if your map is based on wishful thinking instead of the actual landscape.
Okay, so once you're committed to seeing reality clearly, he offers a process for moving forward, the 5-step process.
Right. A very practical sequence for achieving goals.
Let's walk through it. Step 1.
Set clear goals. Know precisely what you want to achieve. Not vague wishes, but specific, measurable targets.
Okay. Step 2.
Identify and don't tolerate problems. This means actively looking for the things standing between you and your goals, and crucially, deciding you won't just, live with them. You have to acknowledge them as obstacles to overcome.
Right, not just inconveniences to complain about.
Exactly. Step 3 is diagnose problems to get at their root causes. Don't just treat symptoms, dig deeper. Ask why repeatedly until you understand the fundamental reason the problem exists.
This feels like the critical analysis part.
It really is. Skipping this often leads to tackling the wrong thing or implementing solutions that don't last.
Okay, step 4.
Design a plan. Based on your diagnosis, figure out what needs to be done differently. Create a concrete plan with specific tasks.
And finally, step 5.
Push through to completion. This is about execution, having the discipline and determination to actually follow through on your plan, track your progress, and make adjustments as needed until you achieve the goal.
It really does feel like a loop, doesn't it? You achieve a goal, set a new one, encounter new problems.
It's an iterative process, and using it requires another key principle: be radically open-minded.
Yes. This one sounds challenging. What does radically mean here?
It means genuinely seeking out and considering perspectives that differ from your own, especially if they challenge your assumptions. Dalio argues our biggest barriers are often our own ego and blind spots.
We get attached to being right.
Totally. We filter information to confirm what we already believe. Radical open-mindedness is about fighting that tendency. It's about understanding that you don't have all the answers and that the best way to improve your thinking is to stress test it against other credible viewpoints.
So it's not just about listening politely.
No, it's about actively seeking disagreement from believable people. He talks about thoughtful disagreement, engaging with different views not to win, but to understand, to find the truth, or at least get closer to it.
That requires real intellectual humility.
Absolutely. It means prioritizing finding out what's true over proving you're right. Ask yourself, when someone disagrees with you, is your first reaction defensiveness or curiosity?
That's a good question to reflect on. And this ties into another principle. Understand that people are wired very differently.
This is huge, both for self-awareness and for interacting with others. People genuinely think differently, process information differently, have different natural strengths and weaknesses based on how their brains are wired.
Like Myers-Briggs or other personality assessments, but maybe more focused on cognitive styles.
Yeah, Bridgewater uses a battery of psychometric tests. But the core idea is recognizing these differences exist and are significant. Understanding your own wiring helps you see where your natural blind spots might be.
And understanding others' wiring helps you communicate and collaborate better.
Exactly. You can appreciate why someone might approach a problem differently, or why they might excel at tasks you find difficult, and vice versa. It fosters empathy and allows you to build teams or relationships that leverage complementary strengths.
Okay, so we've got embracing reality, the 5-step process, radical open-mindedness, understanding different wiring. How does this all come together for making better decisions? That's kind of the ultimate goal, right?
Right. Effective decision-making is the synthesis of all this. Dalio emphasizes a few things. Gathering and synthesizing information thoroughly, simplifying complex issues down to their essence, carefully weighing second and third order consequences.
Thinking beyond the immediate effect.
Yes. And crucially, using principles as your guide. Not just making one-off choices, but having predetermined criteria based on your values and learnings. For personal growth, this means consciously developing your own life principles.
Based on your own pain plus reflection.
Exactly, and learning from others, which brings in his concept of believability weighting.
Which means
Giving more weight to the opinions of people who have a proven track record of success and strong reasoning in the specific area you're considering. Not all opinions are equally valuable.
So seek advice, but weigh it based on the source's credibility on that topic.
Precisely. Who are the truly believable people in your life on different subjects and why? It forces you to be more discerning about the input you accept.
We've covered a lot of ground here, focusing on those core life principles. If someone listening wants to start applying just one thing today, where would you suggest they begin?
I'd circle back to that pain plus reflection progress formula. It's so foundational. Maybe think about one thing recently, even something small, that didn't go as planned or caused some frustration.
A setback or a mistake.
Yeah, and instead of just shrugging it off, actually take, say, 10 minutes. Write down, what happened? What was my role? What specifically could I do differently next time to get a better outcome?
Turn the abstract idea into a concrete action.
Exactly. That small act of deliberate reflection, making it a habit, can compound significantly over time. It's the engine of improvement.
That's really practical advice. It's not about adopting the entire Dalio system overnight.
Definitely not. It's about picking up these concepts, these frameworks, and experimenting. See what resonates, see what works for you in your context.
Be radically open-minded about the principles themselves, perhaps.
Yes, you could put it that way. Test them out.
Well, this has been a great deep dive into some of Ray Dalio's core ideas from principles. Hopefully it sparks some insights and giving you some actionable wisdom to chew on.
The goal is always to bridge that gap between interesting ideas and actual application in your life.
Absolutely. Maybe a final thought to leave people with. How consistently can you apply even one chosen principle when things get difficult or uncomfortable? That consistency might be the real challenge and the real reward.
Well said.
Thanks for joining us on Applied Wisdom, Literature for Living Better. Stay tuned for the next one. And like and subscribe if this helped you. It really does help the channel.